Happy Friday, traders. It's 8:01 a.m. Chicago time on the 15th of March 2019. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, the S&P 500 are gapping up above yesterday's range just by a little bit. We're still inside of Wednesday's range. Some news overnight, some positive movement globally in the extended hours, U.S. extended hours, leading us up in the U.S. indices. So overall, the Euro stocks are up 36 points or 1.1%. The DAX is up 94.5 or 0.81%. Gold took a pop. It's back up again above the 1300 at 1301.50. I want to remind you that the contracts on U.S. Indices expire this morning at 8:30. In about 28 minutes, they will stop trading. So if you're holding a position in March, you'll want to get it out of there through a calendar spread or something. At this point, it's probably too late. It's probably very thin. Um, and so anyway, so those products are expiring. It is Quad Witching Friday. Quad Witching Friday. This happens 4 times a year, the third Friday of expiration month, and this Friday is that. Quad Witching means that um, a whole bunch of products expire. Futures, options on equities, and single stock futures all expire today, and so there's a last minute frenzy. Some products expire at 8:30 Central again, which is in about 27 minutes, and some continue to trade through to the to at some point in the afternoon. I believe it's 3 o'clock or something. So we may still see some delta hedging and things like that. We're above the 2800 in the ES. The ES really, the impact of the expiration of rollover is mostly behind us. Um, so I'm not too concerned about it. The roll is pretty much done. It was pretty much done yesterday, actually. So that's where we are. The laggards this morning, crude took a bit of a dip, down 37 cents, 0.63%. Most of you heard that the UK Parliament chose to extend the deadline for Brexit, kind of kicking the can down the road. There was a two-vote shortage of getting enough to consider some other options. I don't understand fully what's going on there. I'm going to read up on it this weekend, but that remains an open mess out of the UK, but I think there's some relief that at least there's a bit of an extension. Now the ball's in the EU's court to decide what they want to do with that. Other than that, there's some okay news coming out of the U.S. China um, U.S. China trade. There's apparently a little bit of progress. China's People's Congress, National People's Congress, approved a foreign investment law to take effect January 1st, 2020. That's positive. That's market positive. And that's really it. Let's take a look at what we expected yesterday versus what we got in our review segment. Yesterday, the primary scenario that was expected is a dip down that, and then we ultimately push the overnight high, and then we sit sideways inside of Wednesday's range. The secondary is a drift up to push the overnight high, which we never did, and then to test down and hold sideways. In either case, expected an inside day. Expected an inside day. Here's what we actually got. So yesterday, as I'd mentioned, probably prime opportunity for outside in trading, fading the edges, and that's what I did. I had stock zones that held up pretty well, especially in the 28.19 area. for the short on the high of the day. Um, but other than that, it's really a very choppy trade. We opened in range in value as was expected. There would be a fair amount of chop. We did push down. We took out the overnight low per scenario one, um, and then we pushed up into 28, 2075. 28.21 was the overnight point of control. Um, was the overnight point of control. We missed it by a tick and just sat sideways. Note that the profile, let's clean this up. Note that the profile is really well balanced here. This is like out of a textbook where the point of control is at about the center of the profile and in a fairly narrow value range. So we had balance, complete balance yesterday, very well represented by the profile here in terms of volume. And then this morning we are pushing up. I'm going to keep this as brief as I can. So that was yesterday. This is the overnight session, the extended hours. The extended hours really had immediately took an upward skew, a gentle upward skew here, and have been pushing highs. We drifted up to 2025, two ticks below yesterday's high, and then we managed to push higher, pulled back to the mid right here, mid VWAP. And then we continued higher. The profile shows that the high is really weak in the overnight session, 28, 26.50, with a fair amount of volume, 176,000, and overall holding above the mid. The point of control is at the high. The point of control is hidden right here. So to me, this looks like a pullback for a long into the day session. That's what things look like to me in the ES. That's the side that I'm looking to. So with that being said, well, one more thing. I used to track the delta long term, and so the overall delta for versus price on the daily, this is an accumulated delta. Don't worry about the zero line. What we want to see is how the delta behaves versus price. And you can see that the low in price here that occurred on the 24th is around the low in delta, and overall price and delta have been moving in the right, in the same direction. Some of these pullbacks didn't even get a negative delta, like right here and right here. The delta continued, in other words, the lifting continued through those pullbacks, and we see that divergence a fair amount intraday, but it's really eye-opening to be able to see that on a long-term basis. So, so if we look, I expanded it a little bit, you could see that this whole pullback that we had earlier this month did have an impact on delta, but overall we are really moving, price and delta are moving in congruence or in sympathy with each other. So this is a fairly meaningful top, and we're approaching longer term. We're approaching these two tops here. There's quite a bit going on up into the 27, 28.75 area. We managed to push above the 12, and now we're pulling back. And to me, it looks like the 23.50 is likely to act as the pivot point for a sort of a cup and handle type of formation long term. So I didn't remove my stock zones today. I guess keep them on. Doesn't matter at this point. So what are we expecting today? Before we get into that, I want to always remind you on Friday to take a moment and find the like button and hit it. Please find the like button and hit it. What that does is it helps others find this channel. So what have we got? So this morning we are selling off. Check out the order flow here. This is the ES. Oh, this is a terrible color. What's going on here? Let's get some yellow up here. This is the ES. This is RTY, and this is NQ. And there's quite a dive happening here. This looks very newsy to me. You can see there's a fair amount of volume going off right there, there. It's a fair amount of volume going off. This looks newsy to me. I'll see what Trade and News says, but uh, this does look fairly newsy. So we are pushing. It changes things in terms of what we're expecting this morning. I was expecting for it to open up high. So even though we ended up with a weak high with a point of control at the high in the overnight session, now this drop back in here changes things. It actually makes them better for the long bias as prices um, continue to dip down into balance. This morning we are back in range, so the expectation is an open auction in range. Is this the right color? Yes, it is. Open auction in range, right on top of the point of control. I'm expecting it to continue to push lower, expecting it to hold steady here, looking for an impulse up towards the high 2020.75, and then a move towards the 28.25 overnight point of control, and then up above the overnight high. I am looking for it, and it can dip with it dipping into the value area. Uh, Dipping into the value area and into the point of control, it can still move lower. The overnight low coincides with the value low of yesterday, and it could dip lower in here. I'm okay if it does dip lower to 12 quarter, 12 even, but the overall response that I'm looking for is an impulse up. Once we see the impulse up at that point, I'm looking to uh, buy a pullback for a push into yesterday's high of 2075 and then a continuation up higher into 25 and so on. That's that's really what I'm looking for on scenario one. That gives us 12 to about 26 or so, a fair amount of range for the current volatility. So there is news flowing in here. Secretary Pompeo, North Korea's Kim made a commitment in Hanoi that he would not resume nuclear testing. Um, Kim said that he's reconsidering the moratorium and that he would he's likely to resume missile testing in North Korea, which escalates a conflict. I don't know if that's what's causing the move down. Hard to tell. We'll find out in a minute. We just see that I could see that the movement here is not uh, natural. The secondary scenario is a sideways open and then a drift up into the overnight point of control, a push into the overnight high, potentially a spike above, and then a push back into balance here. That's the secondary scenario. If this continues to sell off, and it is, so we're getting the continuation leg here on the drop, on the impulse down. If this continues to sell off, I'm very, very interested in buying down in here, and if it pushes the low of yesterday, it has a very short distance to the low of Wednesday. At that point, I'm going to pass on any buying as this then becomes a lower high, lower low, and continuing lower. We may start one-time framing down. So those are the two scenarios. I'll leave you with that, and also with a reminder that next Thursday we have Ira Harris. And I would love for you to join up and listen to how a big picture global macro trader trades the markets and help us come out of our cocoon where we're watching every tick as day traders. Good luck today, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care. I won't catch you tomorrow. I'll catch you Monday.